It is time for your May garden update, and May is, for me, one of my most favourite times in the garden. May and June, for sure. After so much hard work, it's finally when things start to come together and your borders start to be really full. They're ready to explode, and all of your hard work could be starting to pay off. Now, if you are at the very beginning of your garden journey, your borders aren't going to look like this, but hopefully you will be at the point in your course now where you've made some decisions. I know that lots of you have done lots of planning, you've added borders, you've added containers, you've chosen the perennials that you want to add to your garden, which is just incredible. And for me, that was me last year. So you can't compare your journey to this garden yet, but you just have to trust that you are on the right path to achieve this. Now, it could also be that you have done one of my grow alongs and that you have lots of seedlings which are almost ready to plant out. Some might be still a bit small because of the terrible spring that we've had, but some might be ready. I've also got a lot of flowering bulbs planted in, which you possibly haven't had the opportunity to add in yet, depending on when you bought the course. So there are lots of bulbs which are planted in the autumn, which are now coming into flower now. So they will be in the bulb section of the course. I thought that it would be a really good opportunity to fly you around the garden and talk about what you can see in detail, and discuss with you about how I use the annuals that I grow from seed to plug in the gaps in the border. And you can also see what my shrubs and trees are looking like in the garden in May. I think it is so easy at this time of year to completely lose sight of your end goal when what you want to achieve is the full borders and the lower maintenance garden. It's so tempting. I know the temptation to just go to the garden centre and buy loads of stuff just for that quick impact. But hopefully by looking at the course, you will have a vision of the kind of thing you want. You will have an understanding now about having the mixture of the shrubs and the trees and the climbers and the perennials, and then your annuals and your bulbs, and how all of those things that come together, that is what gives you the interest in your garden from really early on in spring to really late in the year when the first frosts come. So if you think that is a huge period of time where you want interest in the garden, and that doesn't happen overnight. So well done for, first of all, well done for kind of taking that step and wanting to learn more. I have absolutely loved hearing all of your stories and how far you've come on your journey already and how much you've learned. And you will now understand why learning everything that you learn about the aspect and about the sun and about all those things, why that is so important, because you could be filling your garden with stuff that will never thrive. And that's where lots of people go wrong. I hope that you have got a really clear understanding now of the heights in your border. I know that lots of you found that chapter really helpful with showing that the taller things go at the back, the kind of middle size go in the middle, and the smaller at the front. So it's that layering which helps you to achieve the look of full borders. And really, once you've done the course and you understand so much more, it doesn't seem so overwhelming, does it? And then it's just a process of, as we go along, you will see inspiration in other people's gardens. You might see things that are in my garden this year that maybe are new to me, and you might think, oh, I'd like some of those. I have launched my biennial seed sowing course. Depending on when you're watching this, a biennial grow along happens kind of around May, June time, and the things that we're going to be sowing then will be in your spring garden the following year. So biennial means 2, so 2 years. So you plant the seeds in year 1 and they grow their roots and they grow some leaves, and then they don't flower until year 2. So like I've said, you always have to plan ahead. You always have to be planning ahead with the garden. So always in your head, you're thinking, okay, what do I know I want next spring? And actually May is the perfect time to have that conversation with yourself and get out a notepad and think, oh, I saw some tulips that I really liked, or oh, I quite liked white daffodils. Write yourself a list and think about what you really want in your spring garden, and make sure that you incorporate that in your plan. So all of those bulbs will get planted usually around November time. So you've got plenty of time to be thinking. But the biennials that you're going to grow from seed, so the foxgloves, just trying to think what else I've got in there. Foxgloves, forget-me-nots, honesty, rose campion, I'll show you some of them in the garden in a minute. So much stuff that by sowing it in June, already in spring your garden's going to be full, which is amazing. And then, yeah, lots of the things that I have got in the border are, yeah, flowering now, and it's the work that I put in last year that has made this happen. There are some things, some seedlings that I grew in the autumn that are now in the border, but May is just a great time to see it all in action and to see how you put it all together. So where might you be in your journey? You might have quite bare borders, and you might still have a lot of soil, and that can feel frustrating, but you just have to trust the process. And if you might have added some shrubs, you could have added a rose, you could have added all sorts of things. I've seen lots of things that you've been adding, which is amazing. You probably have got some perennials planted in now, which might look a little bit sad in a big empty border, but that's where you can really use your annuals to fill those borders a lot this year. So if you're growing cosmos, if you're growing dahlias, dahlia isn't an annual, those plants, you just will not even believe. They might be this big now, but in a few months' time, they'll be as tall as me. So you just have to trust the process. And if you're new to seed growing and you're new to growing annuals or planting annuals or even planting at all, you will not believe how big things will grow. So don't lose sight of that. So I am going to flip you around, take you off the tripod and show you the different areas in this statue garden so that you can see now how things look in May. You obviously saw how sparse and empty the garden looked in the winter, and now it's really coming together. So I am going to start here where my wisteria is, because we can't ignore that. So the wisteria is looking very beautiful. It is a fantastic plant to be adding to your garden, to cover fences, pergolas. But what you have to remember with wisteria is that although it looks extremely beautiful now, the flowering period is quite short. Flowers just for a few weeks, and then it will just be loads of leaves, which we love just as much, to be honest. But it is a great plant to think about adding to your garden. Now, as we look here, it is the afternoon here in May, and you will see that lots of the border is in shade, and I do get a strip of evening sun right down there. So this, and you'll see that as this wisteria grows and gets very leafy, it creates a lot of shade for these plants here, which is why I treat these areas as shady areas. So I've got a beautiful Dicentra bleeding heart here. I know that lots of you have added these to your shady areas now, which is fantastic. Now this is one plant, and in the autumn, actually not even autumn, later in the summer, I will dig that plant up and chop it probably into quarters, because that is enormous. So if you have got one that is, I mean, it doesn't even have to be as big as that. It could be even a plant of that size, you could cut in half. And then you're able to add more into other shady spots in the garden. So it's a fantastic way of creating free plants. And actually May is a brilliant time to start your 2024 to-do list and write a list of jobs that you've got to do. So that can be on your list. So just write down on a list, divide bleeding heart, and you will know that that's something you're going to do. It could be that you might have a heuchera like mine. This heuchera is a pretty good size. You can see all this lovely new growth. And actually, by the end of the season, I'll be able to take loads of cuttings of this, and it's really easy to take cuttings of. I will show you exactly how to do that and add it onto the propagation section of the course. But from this one plant, I'll probably be able to get another 3 or 4, which is great. So we've got the ferns, which really come into their own about now, all this lovely new glossy foliage. Don't forget to check out the plant section, where there's links to all of the plants that I've got in the garden. And then over here, so many of you have bought this beautiful lime green fern. Again, the link is in the course for that one, but it's just fantastic. Absolutely love it. So I've got some astilbe in here, which look very happy. The foliage is very big. I've kind of experimented with having them in different areas of the garden over the years, and they have often got too much sun, but they look very happy where they are. Another little fatsia. I can see that I've got some buds coming on that white hydrangea. Got another astilbe down there. So this was a heuchera cutting that I took last year. So it was teeny tiny. That's doing really well. I have got astrantia. I think that's a white astrantia, which looks like it's being eaten by something, which is annoying. Japanese anemone. This is a rose campion. If you're doing the biennial grow along, you too could have lots of those. And then the start of the alliums. So these are planted in the autumn, and alliums are just fantastic for when your spring bulbs finish. So your tulips and daffs are done. These come into their own and look phenomenal. So yeah, alliums are a fantastic, I would even say alliums over tulips, because tulips don't always come back. Alliums mostly do. But yeah, they're just fantastic. I've got some naughty bluebells actually, which have arrived in the garden. I need to get rid of those. Now this wonderful plant at the front of the border here is Parahebe avalanche. It's another one that is linked. It is evergreen foliage, and it's got its flower buds just come in. But you will see there that you cannot see the front of the border at all. It's a little bit gappy there actually, where forget-me-not has finished. All of that is solid green, and then I've added in here, this is an early flowering allium called Kawani, but that just looks lovely kind of drifting through. But I'm just so pleased with these. And finding that evergreen colour to go at the front of your borders is so great, because no one wants to see bare soil. We just don't want it. So yeah, that's fantastic. I'm really pleased with that. Then I've got my rose. I don't know what's happened to that rose. I don't know if it's been eaten by something, that bud. I'm not sure. These are my 2 new David Austin Olivia rose, which I put in, when did I put them in? Last summer, I think. So this is the first year I've got them here. So this is kind of experimental, this area. Just trying to make it work a little bit better. So this, how much sun does this get? Probably 5-ish hours, I would say. So yeah, we're going to see how that goes. And then in the back here, these are my, why is the word slipped out of my head? Not Malva, they are Lavatera. These were grown in the autumn, and I have consistently planted them all through the garden, all the way down. So just like when I talk about consistency with your perennial planting scheme, it's exactly the same with the annuals. And you want to repeat the same plants if you can. It's not as easy to do with plants, because with annuals, because you don't know how many you're successfully going to grow. But if you can, it's great to be able to do that. Then you can see more alliums coming through. Just beautiful. I think we might even have flowers coming on those soon. A lovely white allium there. Yeah, so much coming through. I can see another naughty bluebell there. And then I think I just spotted in all of this mess, that looks like something I recognise, but I can't think off the top of my head what it is. It could be my, what did I have growing here last year?
agastache. I mean, if that's my agastache come back, I'll be very happy, because I did wonder where that had gone. I should not have just done that, because now the tulip bulb is left in the ground, but sometimes things need space. And actually, I have removed all of the tulip bulbs from here because it was crowding the borders too much. Then behind here, I have added grasses, some new grasses. I say new, they're not new, I've just moved them from different areas of the garden, and they will start to really fill out. Because this is a seating area, I didn't want anything that I had to keep deadheading. I wanted it to be quite low maintenance. Then this is what the sedum looks like. You'll see that in the course. This is my favourite evergreen to have at the front of the borders, because it's just amazing and it works so hard. That looks like cheeky little self-seeded Verbena bonariensis. Perennial Veronica. Some tall grasses in the back there. That is a peony. I just noticed, what was that? Oh, yeah, that bulb there with like multiple flower buds on. That must be a new one. I'm not sure what that's going to be. These are stunning. They are an early flowering gladiola. I can't remember the exact name. Oh, I need to make sure they're on my spreadsheet actually, because they are new to me and I absolutely love them. If you look down there, you just see all the tall spires of pink. They just look amazing. I'm really pleased with those. And then I have filled in gaps with larkspur. So I've just popped random larkspur in. It's a cheeky little one in there, and one here. And that's what you want to do with your annuals. So you want to fill any gaps. So a cosmos over there, larkspur over there, calendula, whatever you've got going on, whatever fits your colour scheme, plug those gaps. And it doesn't matter if you have some taller ones at the front, play around with it a little bit, but it's all about layering. So you can kind of see here, so I've got my perennials, then I've got my annuals. This is rose campion, which is a biennial. I've got quite a few of those. They're great fillers. But yeah, it's just about layering and getting the plants in. Now, if I stand back here, you will see, so I've got some forget-me-nots in the front, but I also love to add in, this one needs deadheading, violas and pansies in the front of borders. Now, bedding plants are fantastic for filling that gap before other things kick in. And actually, there's one in here that you can't even see because these need to come out, but that has got loads of flowers on. Like I said, just needs a bit of a deadhead and a bit of a spruce up. But don't forget about your bedding plants, and that they are fantastic for filling in gaps. So things like petunias, things like violas, busy lizzies, osteospermum, calibrachoa, anything that you can buy as your multi-pack bedding plants, they will work really hard and just give you those pops of colour at the front and help to fill in gaps. These will flower well into the summer. They do far better in the ground than they do in pots. But yeah, they're just fantastic. And again, it's that same repetition. So it's repeating. I mean, they look quite tiny because they're quite small, but with a bit of a feed and regular deadheading, they will get a really decent size. The spread of them is about 20 to 30 centimetres, so they'll get really decent. And yeah, it's just about the consistency of planting whatever you're going to choose, just get it in. Don't forget also, if you're growing anything with me, Swan River daisies, that's the other thing. But when mine are a bit bigger, I'm going to put loads in. So I've actually got loads of gaps along the front. So I'm going to do a whole row of Swan River daisies all along the back there, because that will just look amazing. And then standing here, you can see, so I've got the annuals. Then this is the Sea Thrift. This was one of my top ones that I recommended to you guys. Absolutely love it. Evergreen foliage. You can divide it every year and you'll get loads of these flowers. This is my sticky catchfly. I think it's Viscaria vulgaris is its other name. So green foliage, and then these gorgeous fuchsia flowers. And I have repeated the same perennials all along the front. So the sedum, the sea thrift, and the sticky catchfly. They are the three. And I don't think I'll ever change my mind because I love them. Pink is just my favourite colour for spring. So yeah, the fronts of my borders are very pink, but I just love it. I've then got, you can see a foxglove there, and I've randomly put one a little bit further forward because I actually really like, while the borders are filling up, I really like to have tall foxgloves. I just find them magical. So I've got different foxgloves dotted all through the border. There's another one there, there's another one there. And actually they don't flower for too long. And then by the time they're finished, I usually pull them out and then go and replant them somewhere else. So foxgloves are quite short-lived. You can sometimes get 2 or 3 years out of them. I've sometimes got a really big one. They self-seed like crazy, so hopefully they'll just kind of keep self-replenishing. But yeah, they are fantastic. You can then see allium heads. So that's where the bulbs are kicking in, and obviously these pink gladioli. But then you can see the big blocks of green are the perennials. So that's another Veronica, same as I've got there. So there's Veronica all throughout the border, all the way down there. What else have we got? Oh, the rose. Look how much the rose has grown. The rose is amazing. So I experimented with tying it in by spiraling it. And as I spiraled it, I've got loads of shoots coming off it. So that's going to have so many flowers. A clematis in there. Then I've added in this obelisk because I'm going to have a rose climbing around there as a bit of a focal point. And actually that's a great thing that you can do. Adding in an obelisk for a clematis or any annual climber that you're growing just really gives you that focal point, and it works really well. Another rose in there. I've actually taken some photos for you of each section of the border, which I'm halfway through the process of labelling them all so that you can see exactly what everything is in the borders. This clematis has kind of done its huge spring display, but it does reflower again. Might have to give that a little bit of a tidy up. This hibiscus shrub is waking up. Then Benny Chidori has flowered, but it's lovely and green. Then over by the pond, oh, you can see my shadow. My lovely dwarf lilac tree. I know that quite a few of you have bought this now. It's a great small tree to add in with that beautiful, beautiful flowers. I actually feel like it's getting a bit big for this space. So what I'm going to do in the autumn is dig it up, and I think I'm actually possibly going to move it here. I just think I would like to enjoy it more as a focal point. So that's potentially what I'm going to do. I might change my mind, but that's what I'm thinking. And then the pond is quite a shady area. The beautiful fatsias, the wisteria coming around here, the grasses and the lily, lovely hosta, a few bits of slug nibble. I need to do my latest slug treatment. Then this shady border here, now we've got a problem here this year. This fatsia has got so big that I can't really see my rhododendron very well. So I think this is going to come out and we're going to put something else there. But I'm pleased this rhododendron is flowering. It's so beautiful. Let me bring you around here and you can have a closer look. It starts really pink and then the flowers fade to white. Yeah, another absolutely fantastic shrub. I definitely recommend in a shady area, but they're going to need a lot of space because they do grow quite quickly. And if you prune them, you stop the flower development. So you will see that there are some buds that haven't got flowers on because I'm trying to keep the height down. So I pruned them last year, which meant I've sacrificed flowers on those this year. So I will then alternate which ones I prune for this year. So then they won't flower next year, but the other ones will.
there is a method to my madness. And then this is a new addition, which is my Amelanchier tree. I really wanted to add another tree to the garden, but just didn't have the border space for it. So I decided to add a lovely big pot. The tree is in, and I have added, I can't even pronounce what this grass is. Have I left a label in anywhere? Oh, I have. That's lucky. Hakoncloa. Anyway, that's in my plant list as well. But I just love the look of that green under the tree. I think it looks really nice. But yeah, adding a pot is a great way to add a tree if you're not too sure where to put it. And there we have it. That is the May garden, which is still really clinging on to spring. There's a lot which is going to flower. And over the next week, I will plug any gaps with final annuals that I've got growing. So I've added snapdragons, I've added all sorts of things. I've got a lovely Nepeta, that's a perennial. The snapdragons are doing really well. There's so much stuff in there. This is also the reason why, for me, I don't like to do any plant division in the spring. I do all my dividing and plant moving in the autumn, because at this time of year, I want to just be enjoying it and filling in any gaps. I don't want to be dividing, moving. I don't want that. So yeah, autumn for me is a better time to be doing those jobs. So I hope that's helpful. I hope that it shows you what is achievable, and you've got to remember that this planting, these borders are new. This is just their second year. So the majority of the things in this garden, I'm trying to think, that clematis is older, the hibiscus we've had a few years, but the core plants in all these borders are new, and they're, you know, it's not been here forever, but it feels like it. So yeah, don't lose hope. Don't lose track of your end goal. If your end goal is to have something perennial that just comes back, you've just got to be patient. Don't lose track of what you want. Don't lose sight of your colour scheme, because I promise you it will all come together. I hope that you found this update useful. As always, you can send me a message. Please send me your garden journey pictures. I absolutely love seeing how you're getting on. If you've got any questions, if there's anything you think that would be beneficial for others, let me know, because it could be a question that other people might have as well. And I will do you another update in a month, because things will look very different in a month's time.